On December 27, 1892, Livingstone and Biddle College, now known as Johnson C. Smith University, played in Salisbury, North Carolina, with Biddle winning 5-0. Over time, HBCU football has evolved. HBCU football's popularity continues to rise. Millions attend games each year and millions more watch on television. The HBCU bands provide some of the top entertainment in the country. Over that time, some of the best players to ever play in the National Football League played at HBCUs. Every Monday through Friday on the HBCU Football Daily Podcast, national radio and television host Donal Ware takes a look at what's happening in HBCU football and talks with coaches, players, administrators, and media about the season. Make sure you join the conversation on social media. Now, here's your host, Donal Ware.
You've got it locked to the HBCU Football Daily Podcast for today, Thursday, August 10th. I'm Donal Ware. It's August 10th. That means we're 16 days away from the start of the HBCU football season. And if you're like me, you're super excited for another season. Promises to be a great season of HBCU football. So on the line and on YouTube, or right now, as a matter of fact, we have the head football coach of Bethune-Cookman, the new head football coach of Bethune-Cookman, Raymond Woodie Jr. is no stranger to Bethune-Cookman, was a 4-year letter winner, and as a matter of fact, was first team All-MEAC 2 years at his alma mater, Bethune-Cookman, as he joins us here on the HBCU Football Daily Podcast. Coach Woodie, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's great to have you. I just want to kind of get your thoughts here in terms of, you know, you're, I guess, a week or two maybe into camp. How things are going with respect to fall camp to this point.
Well, things are going well. Obviously the players had a really good offseason, going into the fall. They're understanding how we do things, our philosophy is smart, fast, physical, and aggressive, and they're starting to understand that as well.
No doubt. And for you, and one of the things I didn't mention, I mean, you're known as one of the best recruiters in the nation, voted best recruiter in the Pac-12. When you were with Oregon in 2012, you've had other stops, Florida Atlantic, Florida State, where you are known as a great recruiter. Can you speak to that? Maybe some of the other stops that you had prior to coming to Bethune-Cookman and what that was like. You not only recruiting, but you were an assistant head coach, you were defensive coordinator, you work with special teams. You've done the gamut in terms of coaching and recruiting in college football.
Well, definitely want to give all praise, honor to the man up above, and then also Coach Taggart giving me the opportunity to grow, as a young coach, starting in, 2010 when, I was at Western Kentucky and taking over program 0-22 and just seeing how to build a program from ground up and doing things the right way. So, throughout my years, having a chance to be put in a certain situations and leadership positions that helped prepare me to the man I am today.
Obviously played at Bethune-Cookman, coached on the high school level, played in the CFL as well. Did you always foresee yourself as being a coach, and specifically a head football coach?
Well, that's what I wanted to do. Obviously, if I didn't play, a long time, and everyone understands that NFL stands for not for long. So having an opportunity to, play the game, go in those doors at the highest level, and obviously, injuries always put you in a position to say, hey, you know what, you better be a student athlete first. And that's the thing, when I finished playing, I always said I wanted to be a coach and, just give back some of the things that I knew and being able to play for great, mentors, like Larry Little, Jack Simon McLaren, those type of guys who helped me throughout, my college career, and then also giving me the opportunity to go to that next level, but then showing me how to do it the right way.
At your alma mater, the whole Ed Reed situation, what was your take? I don't know how much you followed that prior to getting the position. What was your take on that whole situation?
Honestly, didn't really follow it too much, having a chance to going to different places, coaching around the country. I mean, I ended up accepting a job under Stan Drayton, in that assistant head coach position, at Temple, and got the call, a couple of days after I accepted that job, and said, hey, you know what, would you like to be the head coach at Bethune-Cookman College University, which is my alma mater? And I thought that was outstanding, and hearing different things. I was tunnel vision, didn't really get in much detail of what happened before I got here. And at the end of the day, making no excuses, blaming no one. We just been getting to work.
Yeah, how did it come about? What administration kind of reached out to you? Was this something you had been interested in before? I don't believe, at least at the collegiate level, you hadn't had any previous head coaching experience. I mean, was it obviously you're elated, you're back at your alma mater, but how did it come about? Was it something that was on your radar at any point over the time that you had been in coaching?
Yeah, you know what? I did get several alums reaching out, and when the position came available, I put my name in. I was really, like I said, interested, and I always thought, I said, one day, man, it will be awesome to get a head job at my alma mater. And I tell you, just kept doing it the right way, praying and given an opportunity of being a head football coach at my alma mater. I thought that was outstanding. And like I said, administration, reached out and said, hey, you know what, would you be interested? And I put my name in, and obviously it worked itself out. It's always situation. They always say, hey, you know what, things may not happen when you want it, but if you trust and pray, it happens on time. And it was right on time for me. I know a lot of people look at it and say, oh man, you got the job after signing day. It's a lot of work. Well, hell, in life, it's going to be a lot of work. You just got to come in with a plan and execute the plan, and things will work itself out.
Raymond Woodie Jr. is the new head football coach at Bethune-Cookman as he joins us here. Last thought with respect to the Ed Reed situation. Have you seen any, from a recruiting standpoint? I mean, has there been any, negative blowback, if you will, in terms of recruits wanting to now come to Bethune-Cookman?
Well, I don't, like I said, again, the narrative before I really don't know about. I'm just going with the narrative that's now, me being the head football coach along with outstanding assistant coaches that's helping change the narrative. And, at any rate, I thought that coming into it and getting certain guys late, they're excited about being here, and it's our job to do it the right way and make sure that these players understand that BCU is an outstanding place to be a student athlete.
How is recruiting? I mean, it's interesting. Maybe Bethune-Cookman, I mean, you've been at some Power 5 places. You were at Florida Atlantic. You mentioned being at Western Kentucky. Those are all FBS programs. They have more than does Bethune-Cookman. But take us through maybe how you recruit, a student athlete to kind of come to Bethune-Cookman. It's sort of your recruiting philosophies.
Well, honesty. Honesty, you have to be honest. And I've had an opportunity to circulate around the state. And I promised the university that we will recruit the Wildcat territory, and we're going to start out with high school student athletes, and they're going to be from around this area. And I really believe you got to build it the right way, and that's the only way. And, we say we good coaches. Well, good coaches develop talent. And a lot of times you may not get the 4 and 5 star, but we want smart, fast, tough, physical football players. And we got to be good evaluators, because with the NIL, name, image, and likeness, a lot of these players, they want something, but they don't want to do anything. So we tell the guys, in order to come here, man, you're going to have to love the game. You can't just like the game. You got to love it. And we have to go out and be honest. I mean, I think that's the key. And also relationships, throughout, my time since I shouldn't say 2010. I should say back in 1996, when I finished CFL, I went back to my alma mater and started coaching high school, and being able to have success in high school, developing relationships, knowing the coaches around the state, knowing that, hey, you know what? That coach remembered me. We always had a good relationship. We always trusted each other. And those relationships are, I tell you, they're priceless. And I really feel like it's all about relationships. And then, if you are honest, then those high school coaches, those parents, they feel real comfortable giving you an opportunity to mentor their child.
February 6th, of course, of this year, you were hired. What was February 7th like? Like your first day on the job? What are some of the first things that you did?
Well, the first thing I did was, I met with 102 players, who was interested to come out and play for me. And what I wanted to do was find out a little bit about them and them finding out a little bit about me, just kind of going in, sharing to them how we're going to change the narrative. And then also, going around meeting all of the departments, at the university, getting to know them and them getting to know me, just so it won't be, Coach, you just talking to talk. No, we're going to talk it and we're going to walk it. So that's what the first 48 hours was for me. Just getting to know the players, finding out some of the things that they liked about the program and some of the things that they did not like about the program, and then looking at how we were going to move forward.
Raymond Woodie Jr., the head football coach, new head football coach, if you will, at Bethune-Cookman, joining us here on the program. Let's talk some personnel. Do you have a quarterback battle going on? If so, can you talk about who those quarterbacks are and what each of them brings to the table?
Well, with finishing up with the spring, Walt Simmons, obviously, his dad, he and I played together, and he's a transfer, from East Carolina. He's a dual threat guy. He had a good spring, obviously, with some of the guys who left. We didn't have a lot, of personnel in certain positions. So I ended up bringing in, a couple more guys, to compete. Talik Bietha from Delaware State, he's here. And then Luke Rucker, from New Jersey, he's here as well, coming from the junior college. Those guys are competing. And Cam Ransom, who transferred from McNeese, who started out at Georgia Southern. You got a fourth guy, and then, I have Ponder, who was here as well, coming in, as a true freshman, from the prep school, So we have quarterbacks all over the place, but we have not found that guy who separated himself from the next, So this fall camp is going to be huge, It's going to be huge for this whole program, finding a guy, who the rest of the team will follow, So it's exciting this fall, having camp, getting graded each play. Those guys understand every day you got to come in and try to take somebody's spot, and they're going to know clearly, where they're at, and I think that's the key, not just quarterback position, but now we're talking about quarterbacks. Those guys, they're going to see percentages, the plus and the minuses, and the why, why they got plus, why they got the minus, and then see if they can lead this football team.
A couple of more thoughts with Raymond Woodie Jr., the head football coach at Bethune-Cookman. I mean, you've got, a couple of guys, holdovers. In particular, Omari Hill Robinson. He's a preseason All-American, was a SWAC All-SWAC first team on last year, defensive back, had 4 interceptions, a bunch of pass breakups. What do you have in Omari Hill Robinson?
Well, Omari he's a guy that does not just come to work, but he goes to work, and he wants to be the best above the rest. Just training his eye discipline. And, we've been working on his long speed. I'm always involved in just not just coaching guys, but talking to guys on a professional level and some of my colleagues, about what they see when they watch film of him, and I think iron sharpens iron. I mean, he's a guy that he knows instinct wise. I mean, we can't teach that, but, just being technical and fundamentally sound and not always jumping routes, not getting beat on the double move. And that's just having good eye discipline. And that's what he's been working on throughout spring, summer, and then coming in the fall. He's not getting beat on the long ball like he was in the spring, and I tell you what, he's the type of guy that you can put backside and he can shut down the whole half of the field.
Any guys that you can name that have, you mentioned nobody necessarily has separated themselves in terms of a quarterback, but any guys that you can name that have really stood out in this fall camp?
Well, I tell you, Eddie Walls, he's a defensive end, from Fort Myers, a sophomore. He's about 6'4", 240 pounds. He gained about 9 pounds from the spring to the summer. I mean, he's been dominant up front. I could say steady. We call him Steady Eddie. I mean, every day he's going to grade out. He's going to give effort. And he's making plays. I mean, it's tough to block him.
And the last couple of thoughts. Looking at the schedule, 4 of your first 5 games on the road, I mean, that's going to be tough, although 4 of your last 5 games are at home.
Oh, yeah. Well, like I tell the guys, when you say 45, I mean, hey, to be the best, you got to play the best. We're going to be road warriors. And then, like you said, we're going to end up, hopefully getting better and progressing towards the end. I tell the guys all the time, let's stay focused. Let's get at least 1% better each day. And if you do that, I mean, you should be where you want to be, at the end of the season. And then these guys are working, just having an opportunity to have more depth in certain areas. I mean, we started out spring with 5 offensive linemen. Now we have 14, so now, we're just getting better. I mean, we're just getting the things that we need to fill some of the holes, and we'll be where we need to be at the end of the season.
Memphis and Miami on the schedule. Obviously, there are pros and cons to the so-called money games. Are you a proponent of these money games?
Well, we see everything as the most important game on our schedule because it's the next game. And, our guys, they're playing this game just like it's a conference game. I mean, we going into, we preparing, we're not failing to prepare, just because money. I mean, those guys don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. We're taking this game serious, just like the next game serious. We want to come out being where we want to be as far as our goals on offense, defense, and special team.
And then last thought, you've got a son, the third, is playing at Cal. I know you've got to be, super elated about that, and speak about him again playing at Cal.
Well, the most important for me is like here, our motto, we build student athletes at BCU, and had an opportunity to see him graduate, from Cal Berkeley, this past December, and now he's going into his senior year, and I'm excited for him, and obviously I catch his games on the tube. Haven't had an opportunity, to go out to Cal, but really proud of him, and hopefully he'll stay healthy. I mean, he's having a really good fall camp of what he sends me or call and tell me, and really excited for him.
Raymond Woodie Jr., first season as the head football coach at Bethune-Cookman, joins us here on the HBCU Football Daily Podcast. The Wildcats open the season on the road Saturday, September the 2nd at Memphis. And, of course, Coach Woodie, we appreciate the time. Good luck to you and the Wildcats this season.
Thank you, and we'll be ready.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the HBCU Football Daily Podcast. You can also listen to the podcast at BOXTOROW.com, iHeartMedia, or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to get your HBCU football fix on BOXTOROW with Donal Ware each weekend on the radio station near you, and on SiriusXM on HBCU, Channel 142, and on ESPNU Radio on SiriusXM, Channel 84. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at BOXTOROW for the latest in HBCU football, and don't forget to tell a friend.